I have had so many questions about how to get your manicure time down. I schedule 30 minutes for a manicure and I'm going to explain how you can do it too. It all revolves around the cuticle work, so stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to the Meticulous Manicurist nail tutorials, where we're setting a new standard in nail education, utilizing real life, real situations for real learning. Alright, so before every manicure service, you need to use the hand sanitizer. I apologize for the shaky video. The camera that I was using was trying to autofocus, and I don't use this camera anymore. And you're just gonna gently wipe it on their hands. You don't have to get a ton everywhere. Just get in between their fingers on their nail plate. It's for patron protection, to make sure that if somebody does have anything on their fingers, that you're not gonna get it on your utensils or anything. But most of the time, everybody that comes in for manicure is pretty clean, so you don't have to worry about it. The reason why we have cotton and cotton squares is the cotton is used to take off the nail polish, and the cotton squares are used to clean the nail plate at the end before you polish. So we're gonna use the cotton. You're going to sit it on there for just a second, do little teeny tiny circle motions, and then pull forward, because if you get it too sloppy, the polish will get all over their fingernail. So people wonder how to not get polish all over the place, especially when it's this dark red. Sit it on there for a second, teeny tiny circles. You're pushing up with this index finger, and then you're pushing down with these two fingers at the same time to get good pressure. Any tiny bit of polish that seeps underneath the nail plate will clean it up at the end, but you can get it off a little bit by running the edge of the cotton right underneath the tip of the nail. See, like that? Mm-hmm. And then every couple of fingers, we're going to get a fresh piece of cotton. Otherwise, it starts to get too saturated with the polish color, and then it will start to get on the skin.
Do you always start at the pinky?
Yes, always start at the pinky. You'll get into a habit, and then clients will know
which one goes next.
Yes. And if it starts to get too messy, flip it. And you can use the other side of the cotton.
That was like the quickest removal I've ever seen. That works so good.
Okay, second step is to apply cuticle remover to all the fingers. One drip. You put it on before you start to file, so the cuticle remover has a chance to start working on any dead skin. And then we're going to reapply it after we file. So, and she likes her nails square, and to make a square nail perfect, you're going to draw a perpendicular line with her finger and then the free edge of the file. If they have pretty short nails, put your pinky on the end of their finger and pull backwards to pull their skin out of the way. Then you're going to place the file right under their free edge and shorten it. And then you'll round this corner and round that corner. So you can see how it got nice and straight.
Yeah.
And then we're going to just take that corner off and take this corner off. It's all about being symmetrical. If their fingernail, or if their finger does get in the way, you don't have to get the fingernail file right under the free edge. You can let the fingernail file touch the tip of their fingertip and shorten their fingernail that way. You just have to tip the file forwards a tiny bit. People do that when they're afraid that they're going to cut the person too with the file. And then when I'm staring at it, I can measure, see how all of the nail plate isn't touching the file. And there's more distance on this side than on this side, in between the fingernail and the nail file. And so now I'm going to be done because it's all touching the nail file, and then I can round this corner and round that corner, and now it's really
that's
symmetrical.
a lot better.
Super symmetrical. A lot of times clients will want to see, and they'll straighten out their fingers, and you just have to put your hand underneath their fingers and just bend it down so you can see it, because you don't want to be leaning,
Like I was.
yeah, too far forward. Yeah. Now see this one, the tip, see how much space is over there? And there like isn't any space there. Okay. So now we're going to reapply the cuticle remover.
Do you want me to zoom in yet?
Yeah. Can you see it?
That's
Good?
nice and close.
Okay. And I'll just have to make sure I keep her hand in the same spot. So with the tip of the cuticle pusher, you're going to get down into her nail wall and see how the skin's coming off already? You're just going to run it down till you get to the corner, and you're just going to make little tiny circles. All of that excess cuticle adhered to the nail plate. It's called pterygium, and if you don't get that off of their nail plate, then it's going to, the polish is going to stick to the top of that and it's going to chip.
Oh.
So you want the nail plate nice and clean before you polish. And you want to be careful not to dig into the nail plate and scrape, because you'll dig off the top layer of the nail and you don't want to weaken their nail. So see, I'm making mental note now, like that's going to have to get trimmed off. And then you're going to go underneath the free edge, get out any debris from the fingernail file. And always wipe on the towel any excess skin.
Can I move that at all? Excuse me.
Am I out of this frame?
Okay, I got you back in. I
Okay.
zoomed out a hair. Sorry.
When it starts to get too dry, I'm going to apply more cuticle remover.
I missed a lot of stuff.
Skin grows fast too. Most clients come in once a week for a manicure or every other week.
I have to do my cuticles every week. They just grow so fast.
Yeah.
A little bit this way. Perfect. Have you ever gotten anyone who's like that cuticle grew out really far and it was like really hard to get off?
Mm-hmm.
Did you just have to work at it for a while?
Yep, and sometimes you just have to file it.
Oh.
Especially with acrylic clients.
Mm. Isn't that hard to get into because it's lower than where the acrylic nail is? Like a little bit?
No, when you push it back with the cuticle pusher, you can kind of see where it is.
Mm.
And then you just buff it lightly with the nail file. And rubbing with your thumb, it'll wipe away some of the stuff that's come off so you can see what's still there that needs to come off. Because if you don't get rid of it, you might think that there's more skin than there really is. Okay, so before we use our nippers to get off these extra little pieces that we talked about earlier, we're going to take our buffer block. We're going to buff the edges so we get off any little rough spots that the fingernail file caused. And then I'm just going to lightly go right on the nail plate, right on the skin, because that pulls off a lot of the dead skin. So that didn't come off, so I'm going to come back with my nippers and get that. And you're just very lightly, just barely running this across because you don't want to file off layers of fingernail. You just want to buff off any discolorations, tiny bit of ridges sometimes people have in their nail plate. See how a lot of that skin came right off with the fingernail file? Okay, so now I'm going to take my nippers And the bottom blade, so this is parallel with the nail plate. I'm going to tip it up a little so I can slide it underneath, and then I'm going to squeeze. And see how it took off that piece right there? Mm-hmm. You only remove what is dead, and you can tell it's dead because it's a different color than this skin. Like this skin is fleshy, peachy, that is white. See how that little piece right there. And if you're worried that you're getting too close, put in the blade and go like this and say, can you feel that? And if they're like, no, I can't feel that, then you know that it's safe to squeeze.
Okay.
You always want to file and lift. You don't want to go shh, shh, shh. And because then you're like gonna make a little weak spot in their nail, buff out a layer of their fingernail. And to get into these corners, you got to pull back with your thumb, and then you can sit the buffer right in there. And then when I get to this side, I'm pulling with my middle finger down on the skin.
We're a little bit out. There we go.
So when you get to these tight little corners, you want to pull the skin as tight as you can. See how I'm pressing into her finger? And they kind of pop out. And then I'm going to sit the blade and just run it. I'm going to sit it and then I'm going to slip it right up on it and then squeeze. This side, I'm pulling back the skin with my index finger. And the same thing. zoom out for the, you want to take off your rubber band. So we're going to flip the hand over after we apply the lotion to the hand. You're going to hold on really tight with your thumb, and you're going to press into the palm of their hand, because this is going to release tension here. And then you're going to slide up the hand or the arm. So I'm pushing down with my thumb and I'm pushing up with my fingers. Who remembers what this motion is called from the book?
Effleurage?
Yes. These muscles are the flexor muscles right of the arm. Is always really tight on people. And so when you run your thumb up, you'll feel it like start to get like a lump, and you should go really slow with firm pressure, because if you go fast with firm pressure, then they're like, oh, like it's too much. So then we're going to turn the arm over. And now we're going to massage the extensor muscles that are on the other side of the arm. And then this muscle that goes up the arm is what you want to massage. So I'm going to use my thumb and my fingers underneath for the squeezing and pressing. And then I'm going to switch to using the palm of my hand and this whole underside here to press on the arm. Let's go back a tiny bit. So then we're going to do the fingers. We're squeezing and sliding the hand up, doing the whole thumb. And I'm squeezing and pulling. If you do 3 on the pinky, you should do 3 on every finger. And now we're going to pull their elbow up. So sorry, my camera helper was so engrossed in watching the massage, she forgot that the hand was out of frame. Sorry. Up the palm, side.
We're a little out.
So this muscle that we're massaging now is the abductors and the adductors that move the fingers apart and pull them together. They get so tight. People hold so much stress in their hands right there. By pulling. So it does hurt sometimes, so don't press too hard.
Really similar to the one that we learned in school. The hand massages. I did so many hand massages.
If you give a good hand massage, you'll have tons of clients. And you'll make up your own routine over the years of doing them. Just try to, whatever you do on the left hand, try to do the same on the right hand. I'm kind of pulling with this hand and pushing with this one. Did you give him that wallpaper? So now we're going to clean off the nail plate. So we're going to use these little non-woven squares with polish remover. You can fold them. I like them tiny. We're going to do the same thing. Little teeny tiny motions, and I'm pressing and pushing back the cuticle too, because lotion hides underneath there. And if you don't get all that lotion out, the polish will lift and chip. So down in the corners, back by the cuticle, and then we're going to run that right under the nail free edge to get out any polish that was hiding underneath there. And you're using the tip of your thumb to get down into the nail walls to get out the lotion. Looks like you had a hangnail. Pull the hangnail.
A little bit.
So I'll try not to get the acetone in your hangnail. So you know that you've got it pretty clean when you can see that it's dehydrated with that little white hue on the nail plate with nothing shiny.
And that's the goal, right?
Yep. Okay, so then we've got it all off and we're pretty sure that it's all nice and clean. I want you to do it one more time, just a little one, just to make sure. And sometimes a client will go, oh, and they'll touch their finger.
Wipe it off again.
You have to clean it off, yep, because they're going to add oil from the underside of their thumb or whatever. It's going to get right on the nail plate. So then we're going to do 2 coats of base coat.
Do you want me to zoom in for this?
Sure. So I'm going to sit this right here so we can see. You're going to clean off your brush all the way on the back, all the way on the front. You only want a teeny, teeny, teeny bit of polish on the tip. You're going to slide it up to the cuticle, draw it down, center, and edge. teeny bit. And when you're applying it, it's almost like you're actually trying to wipe it off the nail. The absolute thinnest layer possible. And we're doing the free edge. I'm letting like a couple bristles slip underneath, and then you drag it toward the center, and that caps the end of the nail. Just watch, like, see?
Mm-hmm. And then you're just doing the same thing, super little.
Yep, super, super, super thin. And when you sit the bristles on, see how flat they get on the nail plate?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just drag it forward. Okay, so the same with the polish. You're going to wipe it all off so there's nothing on the back, nothing on the front, because you don't want it to drip down. You're going to dip it in just until you have a tiny bit on the tip. When you polish the nail, when you're doing the left side of the nail, only stare at the left tip of the polish brush. Slide it up into the corner and then pull it right down the nail wall. Down the center. Then when you get to the right side, you're only going to stare at the right tip of the brush, pull it down the nail wall. Just a tiny bit. And watch how flat the bristles get.
Just like with the clear coat, right?
Yep. If you don't put pressure on the bristles, it's going to make the layer of polish too thick. And when polish is thick, it peels.
Oh. That actually makes a lot of sense.
If you get anything on the nail, you want to wipe it off immediately. It's easier to get off the skin when it's wet than it is to wait till the end, till it's dry, and then use a brush and acetone. I get a lot of questions about capping the end of a fingernail. Now, on this manicure, I capped the end of the fingernail with the base coat only. The fingernail tip, the depth of a nail plate, it's not wide enough to support layers and layers of nail polish. And if you put nail polish on the end of a free edge over and over and over again, it's going to chip. That's why nails chip. So you don't cap the end of the nail with the nail polish. People say, oh, well, it makes it look nicer. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it look nicer, especially after it chips after a day. So if anybody's staring at the end of somebody's fingernail tip, they're crazy anyway. So you only cap the free edge with the base coat. You don't cap it with the polish color. You don't cap it with the top coat either. To get super close to the cuticle, you want to sit it on the plate and then slide it up until you get to the edge and then pull it back. There's a couple factors why nail polish does chip. One is because the nail plate was not cleaned off properly, so there's too much oils left in the nail plate, and another is because the polish has been applied too thick. When there's too much polish on the nail plate, or there's a little blob or thickness, that is exactly where it's going to chip off. So when I do the thumb, I'm going to put a little bit too much polish on the brush, and you're going to see how the polish pools on each side of the brush and makes these little thick lines of polish as it goes down, and that, if it's left like that, that is where the polish is going to chip. So I'm going to show you an example of what not to do on this last one. See that thickness there?
Mm-hmm.
That's too much. You always have to go back and wipe it off. So if you've, because it's come off the edge of the brush, you never want an extra line. So then we're going to do a coat of top coat. Same thing with the top coat. Only a tiny bit. Teeny, tiny, tiny. Nothing on the back of the brush. My goal in sharing nail tutorials is to help nail technicians and nail lovers be the best they can be to serve the public appropriately. I hope you learned a lot from this video. Please share on your social media site so others can find these educational tips. I appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you next time. And her polish should last for 2 weeks.
Nice. And you only do one top coat?
Yep.
So 2, 2, 1.
Yep. And then any tiny little pieces of polish, like on her thumb, I'm going to use a tiny bit of acetone. There's one little drip there. I tried to wipe it off, it didn't come off all the way. I got a tiny bit on her cuticle right there.
That's really cool.
Rub it off. And then the last thing is cuticle oil. This will moisturize any little tiny dry spots that are left.
Here are some other great videos for you to check out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.